Good evening, Dharshan. Thank you for your time. Welcome to the banking news.
Thank you, Raju. Thank you for having me.
How is this global fintech festival is going on?
Oh, I think it's extraordinary. The kind of people and the number of people coming from all over the world is very, very encouraging. And the conversations and the discussions that we are having today and yesterday, very, very interesting.
Okay. Let's jump to the beginning of SISA. How you started it, how hard it was to take up to the 18 years and then your educational journey. Can you brief in a short span of time, please?
Absolutely, Raju. I mean, so for me, starting a cybersecurity company, I call myself an accidental entrepreneur. It is not by design.
Yeah.
It is happened because of various, I should say, activities or destiny, if you were to call. I'm a chartered accountant by qualification, an accountant who fell in love with cybersecurity and then went on to pursue cybersecurity. We started in 2006, started with compliance and audits, and after each and every year, we have added adjacent areas which complement and help in the digital payment industry. So most of our customers are in the digital payment industry, banks, Fintech, e-commerce, airlines, anyone who takes digital payments or who deal with sensitive information, including healthcare.
Okay. I will come to your target customers later. Just tell me that the story. I want to know that.
Yeah.
How you started. You already said that you fell in love with the cybersecurity as an accountant. You fell in love with the cybersecurity company, right? Then just imagine that in 2006 and visualize it and brief me that how you came into 18 years later. How you see yourself?
I mean, let me not say that I knew that we'll get this far, because it wasn't so. Unlike multiple other entrepreneurs who have a great business plan, who have funding, it was not the case for us. I was a chartered accountant who was practicing chartered accountancy, doing audits for banks and financial institutions. My father was a chartered accountant, so I was actually practicing in his accountancy firm. But then, having said that, I was not really enjoying the fact that I was doing auditing and chartered accountancy work. That made me think through as to how we can actually contribute and make a difference in a bigger scale across the world, not just in India, but across the world. And that made me pick up cybersecurity, because cyber is one area which will touch every human being on planet Earth.
Can you remember that turning point? What you made dissatisfied with the checking the numbers of others' balance sheet and then motivated to be an entrepreneur?
So typically there was, at the end of the day, audits, one of the key things in India at that point in time, doing audits and chartered accountants are really not challenged enough, at the end of the day. And chartered accountancy is a difficult course. It's not easy. The Indian chartered accountancy course is pretty challenging. But having passed accountancy and then you go into taxation and constructs of that, I was really not enjoying it. And that was not my cup of tea. And hence, I kind of pivoted to what I love. And in the initial years of my chartered accountancy course and studying chartered accountancy, I had exposure to systems audit, information systems audit. And that's how I kind of said, hey, this is one thing that I love, which is technology. And at that point in time, it was not too different from, okay, I anyway knew audits, being a chartered accountant, and then was adding only technology on top of it. Little did I know that I would actually get into cybersecurity. So it was more of systems audits, and I started with systems audit, and then, hey, security just happened, and I knew that security would touch every human being on earth. Okay. And you can actually touch people and kind of make a bigger impact on a global scale. And that's how we got started.
When you started, how many teams we
just one. It's just one, yes. So
You were the boss and you were the everything on that time.
Oh yes, yeah.
Now you came after 18 years. How many teams you have?
We are about close to 600 people.
600 people.
Yes, yeah.
And around the globe, you have the multiple
offices.
Offices.
I think as of last, I think we have got 10 to 12 subsidiaries.
Yeah.
We have customers in 40 countries. Yes.
Just want to know that how challenge is to be an entrepreneur then and now.
I think so. There are two contexts of being an entrepreneur, right? Entrepreneurship in any part of the world is difficult, whether it's US, India, but I think largely a lot more challenging in countries, the global south, which is in India. It's not easy at that point in time, at least. So that was obviously challenging because you didn't have this kind of ecosystem, which is currently what we have, and it's definitely improved leaps and bounds. At that point in time, it was not really, and cybersecurity was really not, and it was important, but didn't have this kind of attention that is there in cybersecurity today. So I think it has evolved over the last 18 years, and it's very heartening, and it's good to know that the industry has evolved. There's more supportive ecosystem which can help companies grow.
And then let's come to your service and products about the SISA. I went through your website and found so many products online there, and you work with the top companies with the globally. So what are the products you are offering to the customers?
So all our solutions are mapped as per the NIST framework. So which is identify. So identify is identifying what data inside the organization, right? So we have a data discovery, data classification solution, which kind of identifies data and helps you protect. Because if you can't identify, you can't protect.
Okay.
Then we have a detection. The next thing is called detection, and we essentially detect cybersecurity incidents and able to respond to customers before an intruder is able to exfiltrate data. Then we have prevention. So we have got audits, we have got security testing, we've got compliances where we help organizations prevent from cybersecurity compromises or incidents. We also have response capabilities. For example, an organization does face an incident. How do you do incident analysis? How do you do forensic investigations? That is something that we do. And then of course the last is also about the training. So we have a SISA institute which helps organizations train their team in cybersecurity and prepare themselves.
Okay.
So we kind of provide multiple cybersecurity solutions for the digital payment industry, and that's how we kind of organize and help. And we really are very proud of partnering with some of the organizations which have become global and become really, really unicorns, and we also work with large banks, large institutions, and we also work with really, really cutting-edge startups and who are future unicorns or future organizations. So that's what we take pride in, being true cybersecurity partners for the digital payment industry.
How Nepal's banking sector, fintech sector, insurance sector, maybe our governmental sector can be benefited with the cybersecurity company like SISA, and can you offer them any services if they require, or what kind of thing?
Absolutely. So one of the key things that we take pride is working with and making impact to societies. We have done that in India. We've done that in in the Middle East. We have done that in the Southeast Asian countries, Singapore, Malaysia. We've done that and we're doing that in countries like Cambodia, Vietnam, Philippines. So is the case with Nepal, and we are super excited. And one of the key things that we strongly believe, cash is the enemy of inclusion. Cash is actually a very bad thing for the society, because the moment cash is there, it kind of drains and slows down the economy, because obviously it's a lot of friction, it's a lot more expensive. So hence, digital payments is actually very good for a particular society. And it's been statistically proven that a 1% increase in digital payments will have a 0.5% increase in the GDP of an economy. So if, and I know that Nepal as a country would want to elevate and grow faster as an economy for the benefit of its citizens.
Yes,
And
exactly.
hence, digital payment industry becomes extremely important. And the first and only inhibition for adoption of digital payment is cybersecurity. Because the moment trust is not there in the transaction of digital payment industry, it doesn't get acceptance, right? And so we are more than willing to work with Central Bank of Nepal. We are more than ready to work with national networks in Nepal. We already are working with many of them, as you would know, and trying to help the ecosystem, adopt to stringent cybersecurity measures, which will bolster the digital payment industry in Nepal. So we would be, SISA as an organization would love to leverage its 18 years of experience of having worked and secured digital payment networks across the world and get it to Nepal and work with the ecosystem to build that robustness so that the digital payment industry in Nepal can go leaps and bounds.
As we see in Fintech, global Fintech, there are a lot of sessions regarding cybersecurity, digital payment, cross-border payment, and recently I joined today one of the sessions that Trust of Finance, presentation by CEO of Reserve Bank Innovation Hub. So how you see that doing a cross-border payments, there is a importance of security. It will be secured. How people can be feel that it is a safe and they send the payments to one country to another seamlessly. How you see it?
It definitely, cross-border payments is today a cost of a cross-border payment is roughly about 6% transaction cost. 6% is what typically. So, for example, if I have to remit my money to someone in the UK, an average cost I would pay is about 6% of a transaction, which is very, very high. That cost has to come down significantly. For example, an MDR transaction or a domestic transaction is about 2 to 3%, which is, so this is about 6%, which is more than double. So it actually has to come down and it has to be more affordable. And of course, in countries like India, where it is mandated that MDR is much, much more lesser, global average of 2 to 3%. But having said that, cross-border transactions also would expose to cyber frauds because you expose yourself to fraudsters from global to actually kind of take out the money from a particular jurisdiction. Cyber becomes all the more important when you kind of start having cross-border and economy starts opening up for larger interoperability of their payment systems.
Okay.
And hence, before you do that, there should be a lot more cybersecurity focus, which I think almost all central banks are focusing on, which is very good. But now it has to get translated into ground levels where banks and financial institutions are actually implementing it ground so that they essentially start defending them and not getting exposed to cyber attacks globally.
And let's talk about that CBDC. It's in piloting phase in RBI as well, and then in Nepal as well. Central Bank is working on it and planning to launch it in 2026. So, is there more opportunity to cyber securities companies when the central banks launches their CBDC kind of things, or it will be the same as right
See,
now?
cybersecurity, the way I look at it is, first of all, cybersecurity is any technology, any new technology, whether it is central bank, digital currency, or blockchain-based payments. The more technology you put in, cybersecurity is definitely required to make sure that it happens. So, the way I look at it is more than an opportunity. I think there is a problem. Yes, there is. If there's a problem, there's an opportunity. But the way I look at it is, definitely there's a lot of work that could be done to make sure that these channels can be protected. Of course, there are certain design elements that gets taken care of in CBDC because of the blockchain technology. But having said that, it would still need assurance, it would still need monitoring, it would still need detection, and so on and so forth.
You are a security company, and recently it's been a month, I think, that we all got struck by CrowdStrike attack, right? How you see it?
First of all, the way I look at it is CrowdStrike or come Microsoft. I think one of the key things is, so it's very extremely important for cybersecurity companies to understand that they are in the business of trust. And we all have that extra responsibility that we need to make sure that we are helping the ecosystem rather than actually being a problem for the ecosystem. I think that's a wake-up call for all cybersecurity companies, and not just CrowdStrike and Microsoft, but for all companies. First is the cybersecurity companies like CrowdStrike, and second is technology companies like Microsoft, that they need to do more. And I mean, that includes companies like SISA as well, that we need to do more to win trust of the ecosystem, not to become a problem for the ecosystem. It's very unfortunate what happened with CrowdStrike and Microsoft, and some of the decisions that Microsoft had taken, including CrowdStrike, on that. That's unfortunate, but I think that's largely, the way I look at it, is just not restricted to them, but the entire ecosystem. I think it's definitely a wake-up call. I think we need to do more. As companies, we need to do more.
If you take that incident, some of the airports were closed, banks were closed for long hours. So as a service provider, you see how challenges it is, and then how the cybersecurity companies will cope of that kind of problems occurs in the systems.
Yeah, so I mean, on a philosophical level, we need to do more, right? So one of the key things I think as cybersecurity companies, we are challenged with speed of defending our networks, because we have to be fast as well. But at the same time, we need to be right as well, accurate as well. So I'm sure that companies like CrowdStrike has done multiple sets of releases in the past several years. But then this is one thing that went wrong, and that's no excuse. It's an important thing that companies like all of us in the cybersecurity system should ensure. So the only thing that I could say on the philosophical level, that we need to do more. On the technological space, I think, first of all, one is we need to make sure that the release systems are more robust. We need to do proper testing. There's a lot more rigorous that, like for example, the airline industry. Can we learn something from the airline industry? Airline industry has done phenomenal job in implementing test processes, discipline, irrespective of whichever flight you take across the world. They meet certain safety standards, and they have a very rigorous assurance process, training processes, discipline is maintained. I think, so one of the key things that we believe in SISA is a forensics-driven cybersecurity is about that philosophy, taking what the airline industry has done and implemented, which is robustness of, and being paranoid. Constructive paranoia, what I call it as constructive paranoia, that's extremely important for organizations to be constructively paranoid, not take anything for granted, and make sure that there is a whole ecosystem which is dependent on you to protect them from cyber intrusion. And the least that you want to do is to break it down.
Let's talk about leadership kind of things, right? Which is a very important terminology nowadays in the corporate world. How you see challenging to be a leader of 600 people in your organization? What kind of challenges you face, and how you motivate to them, and how educate yourself?
Yeah, so one of the key things is to evolve. So one of the key things that I have done is actually evolving an organization as it grows up in this journey. When you are a small company, when you're a startup company, when you're 20, 30 people, it's a way different when you are 600 people as an organization. And I'm sure it will be different when we are 6,000 people in the next couple of years, right? So it requires leaders to evolve, and not just me, across the entire organization to evolve, because a leadership is a soft skill which is very hard to attain. And one of the key things that really is that are you willing to learn, unlearn and relearn, right? Because whatever you learned, say a couple of years back, is not going to hold true today. And the same thing is whatever you're doing today will not hold true in a couple of years later. So as leaders, you need to be able to evolve and adapt and be a grass which is flexible and face the storms that is going to come, not being straight wood like a strong tree, because you're going to get uprooted. So can you be flexible? Can you adapt? Can you learn, unlearn, and relearn at every point in time? I think that's the first kind of mindset that all leaders, and I hope that I'm able to do that. And it's not easy. To be honest, it's not easy because any change for any human being is not easy. But it has to be done. And leadership is all about today, with a lot of uncertainty, and especially in the cybersecurity space, we need to be on our toes and we need to keep evolving. So I'm super excited. I'm extremely excited as years come by. I'm learning, and it's also an evolution as a human being to be a leader. And as long as I enjoy, I evolve.
How you balance your work and family life? Or let's say work-life balance, how you balance it?
I first of all don't call work-life balance. I have a different perspective. I feel that work and life actually gets harmonized. And there's nothing called work-life balance. Balance, at the end of the day, the word, like what Jeff Bezos says, balance gives you a feeling that you have to choose one between the other, which is not true. What I feel is both of them can harmonize. So I call it work-life harmony, where your work and your personal life should harmonize and should integrate. And today we live in a very integrated world, an integrated life with work from home. I'm sure all of us get calls on Saturdays, Sundays. We work late in the night. So I don't think any longer you could say that our work timings are from 9 to 5. So it's about how you integrate, how do you get things done, how do you harmonize your work and life together to make a difference to both your personal life as well as your professional life.
And then one message you want to give your SISA family, that how SISA leader is thinking and where the leader is taking to the SISA next level.
So firstly, we call ourselves teams and not family, because family is, I always believe that family is a wrong terminology to be used in the corporate world, because we are not a family. Because at the end of the day, we are very merit-oriented as a company. But it doesn't mean that our bond is lesser than a family, or sometimes it's even more than a family, right? Because as a team, like for example, high-performing teams work together, trust each other, believe in each other, and support each other. But having said that, you will not tolerate a non-performance because of, and you will handle it, because at the end of the day, teams have to perform and do a high-performance work. That being said, I think the message for SISA as we move forward as an organization is that we need to retain and we need to work harder because of the trust that the ecosystem has put on us. One of the key things that I call for every C-side is to follow three things, right? So one is being passionate about whatever they do as an organization. And second is to have the purpose. So because being a very purpose-driven organization, we need to know that we are impacting societies, right? And we make or break the ecosystem of our society as a cybersecurity company. And many people are resting peacefully at night, hoping that SISA is awake and making sure that their systems are secure, right? So the purpose is extremely important. And third is potential, and which means that we need to build our potential and competence on a continuous basis in cybersecurity.
Dharshan, thank you. It's wonderful talking to journey till that time. Hope to see you in next year as well. And then, as you already said, that SISA team will be a 6,000 team within a couple of years. All the best and hope to see you again.
Thank you, Raju. Thank you for having me over. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.